Hello, my name is Bo Corkins. This is Math 1000, and I want to guide you through a video here about the geometry and measurement project. So, this project worth 17% of your grade, and it's really just to get you some hands-on real life experience with measurement, right, and geometry. So, um, couple of things, all right? So, overview. It's all about picking an object, TV stands, desks, all right, bookcase. Bookcase is my highest recommendation because it's not overly complicated and it has a lot of rectangles. More complicated furniture, that's great. Just make sure that if you have a complicated piece of furniture, you can't just measure stuff and then ignore anything that is complicated. You have to at least mention it. Hey, oh, the handle of this piece of furniture, I am going to ignore the volume of this, but that is volume, right? But you have to explicitly mention, all right? Which brings us to the big part here. The big part of the project is the write-up. And in the write-up, you you need to go into detail on the data collection, right? How you measured the object, what you ignored, all right, what you wanted to focus on. There's three big pieces: the volume, capacity, and surface area. The volume, all right, and the important part of this is the volume, all right, of the actual material. It is not the volume of the empty space. Okay. So, right, for a bookcase, okay, it's the sides and the shelves, right? It is not just, a standard bookcase is about 6 feet by 3 feet by 1 foot. All right. It is all the rest of it. All right. It is actually the material. A bookcase can combine really, really small. Capacity, that would be the empty space. How much can fit in the bookcase? How much fits on it? Things to that nature. And then surface area. And again, that's like what it would be required to paint. All right, the object, paint the bookcase. And then we have the conversions of each of those: volume, capacity, and surface area conversions. All right, make sure you're showing your units, doing the full dimensional analysis. All right, make sure that is done out very, very completely. And then some very, very brief conclusions. All right. I have some do's about, talk about, you know, the cost effectiveness of the bookcase or common units, right? A bookcase, the common units would be a book, right? So you measure a book and how many books could fit in the bookcase, right? Do not say things like, oh, I learned a lot and, this was the calculation formula, all right, I used for volume. That should already be explicitly described in the volume part, okay? And a lot of that, I want to be clear, a lot of that tends to break down from the AI usage. Now, I highly recommend using AI to polish, all right, your document at the end. After you wrote it all up, put it in AI to let it polish it. But if you're using it from the beginning, all right, I see it looks junky. Most people can tell, and without a doubt, the software, all right, we use Turnitin software. It can tell the percentage of AI usage, all right, because it uses AI to verify it. So basically, I have a 25% maximum AI. If and when I start seeing people who submit 80% AI documents, that's basically at that point that is academic misconduct. So do not do that. Okay. And then I have a nice little rubric here. So um, one big thing, all right, and I want to make sure that everyone understands what we are doing when we are actually measuring the bookcase. So I have a bookcase here. All right, this is the bookcase in my office. We are actually measuring this. Okay, this is about 3/4 of an inch, all right, by 1 inch by 6 feet. So that's the volume of this side panel. And there are two of them, right? So I would take whatever this volume is, right? 3/4 of an inch by 12 inches by 72 inches. All right. Calculate that volume, multiply it by 2, and then I would calculate the volume of the shelves. All right. And whatever else. That's the volume of the material. That's the volume we're actually interested in. This distance in here, that's the capacity, right? And there's a couple of those, several. So I just want to make sure that we understand, all right, the difference between volume, all right, of the object and the capacity of the object. That seems to be the thing that confuses people the most. That's a standard bookcase, like most bookcases, where it's like 6 feet by 3 feet by 1 foot, right? That's not the volume, all right? That's sort of the capacity, but actually that's a overgeneralization of the capacity, and I want you to think more deeply about the capacity, right? So that's the big part, all right? This is a hands-on project, and I want you to get that experience, right? Type it up. I was like, it's not supposed to be overly taxing, but it is supposed to be a nice learning experience. Most people say this is the best part of the class. So don't skip it or try and shortcut it, right? Do a good job, write it up, and get a good grade. All right. Hopefully that's helpful. I will be talking to you soon. Have yourself a wonderful day.